Hey everyone, Steve here with a quick video on my thoughts on the recently released Resident Evil 2 Remake one-shot demo for PC, Xbox, and PS4. I've been among the many fans who have been really looking forward to playing this game for a while, and after finally having the chance to try it out, albeit for a very short time, I can safely say that this is a game that is going to be something really special. So in anticipation for its release on the 25th, I thought I'd share my thoughts on the demo, what the demo includes, how it plays, and what I liked and didn't like about it. So without further ado, let's talk about some Resident Evil 2. Demo. The demo starts at the point in Resident Evil 2 where Leon enters the Raccoon City Police Department for the very first time and then begins to explore it to find survivors. A nearby security feed shows an officer who's found a way for everyone to escape the station through a secret passage but is being chased down by zombies, so Leon then resolves to go out to look for the man to try and help him out. Next you open the door to the east hallway to begin your search, but when you eventually find him, your efforts end up leaving him half the man that he used to be. Because he's kind of okay, I'll go. You take the notebook that he was carrying with you, but as you start to make your way back to safety, more zombies appear that you have to fight off. You start to crawl through the door that you came from, but get halfway through before being grabbed by a zombie. Luckily, you're saved by a police lieutenant called Marvin Branner. Oh god, no, I'm not touching that. Get a towel, good sir. He gives you his dead man walking speech, then his combat knife, and tells you to go through the station to find a way out to save yourself. The rest of the demo has you freely exploring the station to find various items, solve different puzzles, and fight some good old-fashioned zombos. Yeehaw! Well, as freely as you can within 30 minutes, that is. Okay, time to talk about the big complaint that I had with this demo is that you can only play for 30 minutes, and once that time is up, you can't play the demo ever again. That's it. To me, the joy of being able to play a demo over something like, say, a beta, is that there is no limit to how many times you can go back to play it. You can keep going back and replaying it as many times as you want and really get a feel for what the final game has to offer before deciding to buy it. It's why I really miss demo discs so much, you know, the things that used to come packed with gaming magazines that actually made them worth buying, as they were a great way to enjoy a small slice of a game you either couldn't currently afford or were just waiting to come out. I know it's a demo and the game is only out in a few days now, but having the time limit and a lockout means if you wanted to see everything this demo had to offer, you needed to almost rush through it in order to do so, which I feel is kind of defeating the point, and it's a real big shame because what is here is very much worth taking the time to enjoy. I totally get the marketing reason for why they did this and the thought process behind them wanting to limit the experience, but the demo still has an actual endpoint that you can reach no matter what puzzles you solve or items that you collect. So what's the point in having those restrictions there to begin with? Something else that's worth mentioning is that if the demo crashes for whatever reason, your timer won't reset and you'll be left with whatever time you had left to play through the whole demo again. I bring this up because this happened to me 3 times at the same part of the demo, so then I decided to look into ways to reset the timer, and sure enough I found that someone had already come up with ways to do this. From what I can tell, console owners are limited to just creating another account and then using that to then play the demo again to reset the timer, but for PC owners like me, you can use a whole bunch of different ways, including using a tool to turn off the whole time limit altogether. If anyone is interested, I've left links to guides on how to do these in the video description below for you to check out, though I do recommend creating a second dummy account just in case. You never know. Now, I feel like I've started off this video rather negatively, so let's correct that by talking about the actual game itself, because there's a lot here that I really enjoyed. First off, let's just take a moment to say, damn. This is one fine-ass looking game. Seeing such an iconic location as the Raccoon City Police Department in the new RE engine is just incredible. Every corner, every wall, every ceiling, and every floor of this place is just crammed full of so many details that pull me right into its world. The environments, the character models, and even the blood and guts in this game look incredible, and when bumped up to 4K, it looks even better. I especially loved the use of dynamic lighting and shadows in this demo, which really added to the immersion and greatly enhances the game's creepy horror atmosphere. It's a small detail to mention, I know, but I was really impressed by how a shadow shifts around something depending on where you point your flashlight at it. It's really cool. I also really enjoyed the environmental storytelling used here to tell the story of what happened at the station before Leon arrived. Like the 3 claw marks on this wall clearly left by something that isn't human, or the countless boarded up windows and hallways that are stained with blood and littered with the bodies of people that were trying to stop the zombies from getting in. Or my personal favourite room, the West Office, where if you look up at the ceiling you'll see a banner hung up that says, "Welcome Leon," presumably left there by his co-workers to celebrate his first day on the job, but now because his co-workers are all dead, it has a really sinister and tragic tone to it. Of course, all the set dressing in the world would be for nothing if the game handled like boiled arse in a turd vacuum, but thankfully this is not the case, and the demo plays great. I have to admit I had slight reservations about the series going back to a third-person camera perspective, especially after how well they handled the first-person camera in RE7. However, after playing this demo and being able to see it in action firsthand, my fears were quickly put to rest. As a whole, this demo feels really good to play. Newcomers will find it very easy to pick up and get used to, and for returning players, it's very much like slipping on a pair of old comfy shoes that you haven't worn for a few years but still fit you like a glove. The default controller scheme here is pretty much the same as previous third-person Resident Evil titles, with similar buttons used to perform similar actions like down and circle for a quick turn and using L1 to ready your knife. Thankfully though, you'll be able to pause the game to manage your inventory, which is something that a lot of people miss being able to do in RE7. Speaking of Resident Evil 7, the menu interface here looks practically identical, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. I was kind of hoping to have a slightly more unique looking interface for this game, but what we have here isn't bad at all, so I guess this is just more of a personal nitpick than an actual critique. I even noticed them reuse some assets from that game too, like the switch box with the yellow tape on that you use your knife to cut open from the garage, or this grandfather clock that looks very similar to the one found in the Baker Mansion. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same clock. Nothing really else to say about this, it's just something that I noticed. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't really matter. Really, the only thing that's changed here is the camera. It's kind of hard to explain without experiencing it for yourself, but you remember the way the camera worked before in Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6, where it's kind of locked to the camera's right shoulder and they stay at the left side of the screen? Well, now you have that same perspective, but your character is able to break away from that and move around the screen separately from where the camera is. It's really bizarre. I've got to say, this felt a bit weird and I wasn't quite sure what to think about this at first, as I've been so used to the way that third-person Resident Evil titles have handled before, but it didn't take long for me to adjust to it, so I guess it's not all that bad. What's really good to see is that classic zombies have finally come back to a mainstream title again for what feels now like an eternity. I don't know about you, but as scary as RE7's molded creatures were, they just kind of looked silly at times in my opinion. So to have actual zombies back as the main enemy of this game with no "you haven't even seen my true form" gimmicks is a very welcome change. For the short time that I played this demo, I really got the impression that the devs understand what makes zombies such a great enemy in a Resident Evil game. They're an unstoppable, unrelenting force that no matter how many of them you kill, they will always keep coming back over and over again. You really feel their presence throughout this demo, and they can come at you from just about anywhere. They smash through windows, can spring out from lockers, which really surprised me, and they can even burst through doors, something that was a surprisingly effective tactic in the last game. Yeah, forget weapons in that game. You want the most effective way to stop something from chasing you? Just close a door. Works every time. This game? Here comes Kool-Aid, motherfuckers! Oh yeah! Something else new that I noticed is that you can pick up planks of wood to board up the windows and make it harder for the zombies to get in, which is a cool mechanic and it adds an almost base defense layer to the gameplay, and it will be interesting to see how deep this mechanic goes or if something similar will appear later in the game. Mixing gunpowder to create different ammo types makes a return from before, and maps that you pick up now highlight items that you've not collected in rooms that you've already visited, which is a nice touch. Though I'm hoping this can get turned off in some way, maybe on a higher difficulty or something, as for me this isn't really something I personally would want to use. I'm also happy to see that they've adjusted the combat in this game to make it more survival horror-y and less action focused too. Before you could just stun a zombie by shooting it in a certain spot and then press a button to basically win, but now you can no longer do that and instead have to be a lot more accurate with each shot, especially considering that you no longer have a laser sight to aim with. Yeah, you can still make accurate shots, but now you have to stand still for a few seconds, wait for your crosshair to shrink down, and then your shots will be more accurate. It leads to many moments where you have to decide whether or not to be more mobile or sacrifice accuracy, or be more accurate and sacrifice mobility, and I really liked this. I also like that you're not guaranteed to take one of these guys out with a single headshot, and sometimes you have to take multiple shots in order to do so, which is a good decision if you ask me, because it means that everyone from newcomers to skilled players will have to take their time with each shot to make it count, and it also stops them from trying to run and gun through the whole game and waste all of that all-important ammunition. Of course, you can still pull off a one-shot kill headshot with a well-placed shotgun blast, but even then, if you miss or take too long, it will leave you open to an attack if you're not careful. If you end up being grabbed by a zombie, you can use the combat knife to escape the attack unharmed, much like you can in Resident Evil 1's Remake. Once the zombie is defeated, you can pick the knife back up again to use, but at the cost of having it heavily damaged. Yeah, I kind of forgot to mention earlier that the knife in this game has its own health bar that goes down the more you use it, and then once it's completely empty, the knife will break, and you'll have to find a spare to pick up somewhere and replace it. I'm not sure how I feel about this being a thing, as having a knife to rely on when ammo runs dry is a godsend, but we'll just have to see how this balances out when the full game releases. It's certainly gonna make knife-only runs more interesting, that's for sure. In the time I had to explore the rest of the station, I was able to find a whole bunch of items, solve a couple of puzzles, and make it to the end of the demo to see the new trailer for Hunk and Tofu mode. Yes, that's back too. But all in all, despite wishing I didn't have a time limit and that it didn't lock me out afterwards to play again, I really enjoyed my brief time with this demo. It's done what it set out to do and built my excitement for the full game when it releases, and I can't say I have any negatives regarding how the whole thing is shaping up. The graphics are just incredible, the atmosphere they've really nailed down, the controls are done really, really well, the voice acting doesn't appear to suck yet, and zombies are back and better than ever before. I loved the constant layer of tension and dread that I felt when playing this demo. It made it really fun, and I really can't wait to see what they have in store for us for the full game. So that's just my thoughts on the Resident Evil 2 Remake demo, but what did you guys think of it? Have you played it? Are you looking forward to the full game? Or like me, are you poor and torn between buying this game or Kingdom Hearts 3 this month? Well anyways, let me know in the comment section below, drop a like on this video for me, and if you're new to this channel, perhaps consider subscribing and checking out my other content too, because there's a lot more to come soon. Special thank you again to all of my generous patrons, including my tier 2 patrons, Sarah of Warr, Stephen Azrael, Lord Drago, Machi, The Stoneman 2013, and Kazam Ed. You guys all help keep this channel going, and I cannot thank you enough for your continued support. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.